Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
So today's kind of a odd episode.
What episode number are we on?
No. Is it 29?
I don't know. I thought we restarted at the beginning of the year.
Well, I mean, I'm going to keep the numbering the same, but this is technically season 2.
Oh, okay.
So, I think this is
Episode
29. Yeah.
makes sense.
So
we are going to talk about a TV series called the Invader ZIM.
Yes, that's why this episode's going to be a little different than normal.
I have seen the whole season.
And so have I.
The whole series. You've seen the whole series, but we picked a couple episodes apiece to watch. So
Yes.
I think what we need to start out with is I'm going to let you give kind of an overall, like, this is what ZIM is about.
Yes, and then we probably will talk about more episodes than just the ones we watched, but these ones are fresh in our mind because we just watched them.
I was so tempted to watch the whole series again.
You could have. I just didn't want to commit to that.
Yeah.
But so basically the story of Invader ZIM is that ZIM is an Urkin, aka an alien from another world, that is sent to Earth to conquer it, according to him, but really in all reality, the people who run the government of the Urkins don't like him and sent him in banishment, essentially. They sent him to Earth because they didn't even know there was a planet there. They just sent him off into the stars.
And the government, because we'll talk about them later too, are called the Tallest.
Yes.
But Zim thinks he's this evil guy, and he's got his sidekick is because everybody that they send out on missions
Has a SIR unit.
Yes.
Which standardized informational.
I don't remember. It's been a long
time.
time.
I think it's standardized informational unit.
And so, but they give him kind of a. I don't want to say a crappy one because he's my favorite.
They get him out of the garbage.
Okay, well, he's my favorite character in the whole show, but his name is Gur, and he's just this little robot. And he dresses up, when they're on Earth, he dresses up in a green dog costume. And I just love Gur.
Standard issue information retrieval units.
There you go.
Are what they're called.
So basically, it's Zim trying to conquer the world.
Yes.
And nothing ever goes right.
And he attends school as like a kid because he's short. And so his main enemy is Dib, who's an Earthling who's the only one that sees through his disguise, essentially.
Yeah, and Dib has a sister, Gaz.
Yes, and his dad is an inventor. Like a world-famous inventor.
Like a mad scientist type inventor.
I don't know if I'd say mad scientist, though, because he's, like, world-renowned. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the inventor of Super Toast. He creates a perpetual energy machine.
Well, okay, well, we'll go with it.
I did not realize, because I was skipping through episodes on the DVD and stuff, I didn't realize how many of them started with, like, probing the membrane of science. Like a snippet of one of the episodes of Membrane Show. I didn't realize how many started with those.
Yeah, that one I watched did.
Yeah.
So Gur is just like, Zim and Gur are supposed to be evil and they're taking over the planet, and Gur is just like a toddler. Like,
yeah. When
they're on their way to Earth, he goes, "I'm gonna sing the Doom song," and he starts singing about Doom, and that's all it is doom, 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 doom.
And
but I just love him. He's so fun.
He disguises himself as a dog, and Zim has a very poor human disguise, which the dog costume's not good either. It's like green, and I'm sure you've seen it. If you've ever been a Hot Topic, you've seen it.
Yeah. He's cute though. So
I'm wearing my Gur jacket right now.
I know. I'm jealous. I want that Gur jacket. I almost named my Jeep Gur.
Yeah. Instead, it's Luigi. Okay. So, do we want to get into the actual episodes?
Sure.
Do you want to start?
So, the first episode I watched, and I'm not going to remember the name of it.
Is it Invasion of the Idiot Dog Brain?
No.
Or is it Bad Bad Rubber Piggy?
Bad Bad Rubber Piggy. So, this is the episode I said that starts out with talking about the scientist.
Yes.
And somebody in the audience asks him basically about the butterfly effect.
Yeah. And
he says, yes, it's possible to time travel and change things, but it would have all these consequences. And so the whole episode is Zim trying to go back in time and
stop Dib from ever becoming his enemy.
Stop Dib from ever getting into aliens. And he's, for some reason, he uses Gur's pig. Like, that's what he throws through the time warp.
Because he tries other stuff and it's all incompatible. So he gets mad and throws it.
That's right.
And it goes through.
Right. And so Gur has all of these rubber piggies, and
Yeah.
he finally gets to the last one, and Gur starts crying because he doesn't want to let his last pig go. But like each time he throws this pig through this time warp, I guess you'd call it.
Time vortex. I
There
think
you
that
go.
might be what they refer to it as. I don't remember.
Dib gets a little bit more
Yeah.
stupid.
Wait,
And,
can I talk about the example that Membrane uses at the beginning of
well,
the
hang
episode?
on just a second. Let
Okay.
me finish that thought. So his sister Gaz, he'll be like, I don't remember what they were now.
He was gonna like sneak into the house, but then it turns into he's gonna mail him an angry letter.
Well, no, but then he'll have like an accident. He'll say something. And he'll be like, "Well, when did this happen?" And she'll be like, "Remember when you had this accident at 7?" And he's like, "No, I don't remember that."
He was going down a hill on his trike, and it turned into a pig, and he slammed into a tree.
Yeah, things like that. So,
I think that's when he was 3.
Yeah. So go ahead. You were gonna say something.
So at the beginning of the episode, whenever we see the episode probing the membrane of science, which is Dib's father, Professor Membrane's show.
Which he is a very absent father.
Yes, he is. He like all his stuff that interacts with his kid essentially just pre-recordings and stuff. Like I don't know if it was in one of the episodes I actually watched or if it was one that was connected to one of the ones I watched because I just watched like the episodes that were with him too. But there's one where he comes in and he's like, and don't forget to feed the dog, and it's like a pre-recorded message, and they're like, oh, we had a puppy, didn't we? Anyway, at the beginning, the way he gives an example of the butterfly effect, the person asking wanted to remove breakfast chunks.
Yes, which was a breakfast cereal that his mom made him eat. And it's literally like, it looks like a box of cereal, but then it looks like a brick.
It's just bran in like a cube.
Yeah.
And so he ends up sending a giant squid back in time instead of like a bran square or whatever. And it causes the breakfast cereal to be giant squid O's or something like that.
Yeah. So basically Dib kind of gives up on the alien thing, but then something happened. It's been like 2 weeks since I watched it. So
well, Dib dies. Zim does it so much that Dib actually ends up dying.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he has an accident. I think it's when he falls off the top of the jungle gym when he's chasing like Bigfoot Jr.
You're right.
And he's getting like paddled back to life, and Zim replaces the paddles with the rubber pigs.
You remember the episode better than I do.
I know, and I haven't even seen it recently. This is just one of my favorite shows.
I haven't watched the show in probably 10. Well, I know it's been 10 years. So then what how does it end?
So what happens is
it's terrible. You have to tell me how it ended, and I just watched it.
What happens is Membrane ends up rebuilding Dib. So Dib is like this big robot.
That's right.
So Zim throws the last pig he writes on a note. He says, "Don't use the time machine or time vortex, Zim." And he sends it back in time to Zim, and he replaces his brain in the past with the piggy. So the episode ends with him holding his own brain in his hand. Yeah.
And that's just like the whole show. Zim can do nothing right. Like he's like, what's the episode? And this may be one of the ones you said you were going to do, but where his parents go to the school.
Parent teacher night.
And they're like robots.
Yeah,
and
that's one of the really early episodes.
Like they look like they're supposed to look like people, but they're just you know.
And he trains them on TV, but then Gur comes in and changes the TV to a different station, so they're screaming about diarrhea, and the dad's arm comes off, and so he's like, "They took my squeezing arm."
It's just
stupid.
It's really dumb. So we're gonna talk about one of the ones you watched.
Oh, I do. Back on that though, on the parent-teacher night thing, when his arm comes off and everyone starts freaking out because this guy's arm just came off, and Zim's trying to calm him down. He's like, "Don't worry, he lost it in the war." Okay, yeah. So the first episode I did was Career Day, which is all the kids in Zim's class at school take a Rorschach test. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. Basically, you see the ink blots.
Too, though. What's his teacher's name?
Ms. Bitters.
Because we will talk about her in another episode.
Our next episode.
Yeah, our next episode.
So Ms. Bitters hands out these papers, and they have ink blots on them, and you write down what you think the ink blots look like, and then she feeds them into a machine, and based off what the machine gives back, that's the job you're going to end up with. So all the kids say what they want to be when they grow up, and then they fill them out, and like almost no one gets what they want. Like one of them wants to be an astronaut, another wants to be a doctor, and theirs is like swapped, and so they both start crying. But Zim just writes human slave for all of them. And then I don't remember exactly what Dib writes, but it's like Bigfoot, ghosts, stuff like that. So he ends up being a paranormal investigator. Well, since Zim wrote human slave for all of them, he gets put in fast food work as a fast food worker. So they then go and have a day where they spend the day with whoever, like whatever they ended up with. And one scene I think is really funny is when they're all meeting like their mentors in the hallway. One of the kids is with a guy and he's wearing like a hockey mask.
Oh my god.
And he's showing the kid how to strangle.
Oh my god.
Like he's not actually strangling anyone, he's just doing it to the air, but he shows it to the kid and then the kid imitates it.
Oh my gosh.
And the humor in the show is just like that, and I love it so much. I think it's funny. So
some episodes are disgusting. There's some pretty gross
agree.
episodes to this.
This
show.
episode's kind of gross because another thing going on is Zim has a rash, which Dib notices, and so he doesn't really think much of it right now, but he knows something's going on. So Dib ends up going with the paranormal investigator, and Zim goes to work at McMeaty's, which is, you know, a McDonald's stand-in, and it's been in other episodes too, and it's in the comics heavily, because in the comics they parody the McRib.
Really?
Yeah, because they bring the... I don't remember what they call it, but it's something that they bring back, and Gur's, like, obsessed with it. So whenever Dib gets into the paranormal investigator's car, the paranormal investigator is like, I brought some files to show you like what's real and what's fake. So Dib's going through them, and the real ones are CHUMS, like it's an abbreviation, chums. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it stands for anything actually. Psychic lawn gnomes, vampire lemurs, and frankenchokey. And then the ones he has marked as fake are Bigfoot, ghosts, dinosaurs, and the galactic equinox, which is where all the galaxies line up. And every alien that's off its own planet is supposed to molt during that. So that's the rash that's on Zim's neck. At 5 o'clock that night, everyone's going to molt, which is why this episode's kind of gross. So...
And I know you mentioned this once, but I think it's so funny that he's in this classroom full of kids and nobody else notices that he's green.
Yeah.
And that he's
it gets pointed out in the first episode. Whenever he's in class, people make comment. Dib makes comments about it. He's like, his skin is green, and he's like, I have a skin condition. And then Dib's like, he has no ears. Is that part of your skin condition too? And he's like, yes. And like the most like sad voice ever. So then everyone in class is like, what next? You're gonna bully old face kid for having an old man's face? It's so funny. So anyway, we kind of flip back and forth between following what Dib is doing with the paranormal investigator and what Zim is doing at the restaurant. And he's doing stuff, and it's so gross, because one of the things he has to do is he makes a milkshake, like a milkshake, out of like a milkshake machine, but it's all just meat.
Ew.
It's so gross. But I do think it's funny, because the people that are like ordering are like so demanding of him and stuff, and it's like very realistic to how it is to work in like fast food, because I have worked at McDonald's. And
me too.
Yeah. And he finds out from one of the people that's being impatient that the galactic equinox is tonight, because they're going to go look at it at the observatory. So he asks to get off work early, and his manager, or like the guy that's in charge of him, who's like a teenager with the squeakiest voice ever and a face full of acne, is like, if you leave early, you can't ever get promoted. And so Zim stays because he wants to be promoted, because he asks how many promotions to King of the World or something like that, and the kid's like, about 4.
Oh my god.
So back with Dib, though, they're going to investigate crop circles. So they go to this field, and there's all these crop circles they're looking at and stuff. And normally Dib would probably be like excited about that, to be with a real paranormal investigator and looking at crop circles. But he's just focused on getting to Zim. Well, then as they're doing this and they're talking back and forth, we see a cow rolling around. And the cow is making the crop circles. It's rolling around on the ground making the crop circles. So Dib's like, I think this one's fake. And the paranormal investigator's like, no, the cow is being controlled by aliens.
Oh my gosh.
And so Dib is trying to convince him to leave, and he's like, he looks up and sees a billboard for Count Coco Fang, who obviously is like a parody of Count Chocula, and is like, I bet you would listen to me if I was talking about Count Coco Fang. And the paranormal investigator like whips around and is like, Count Coco Fang, he's my nemesis. And he's like, what do you know about Count Coco Fang? And he's like, he's gonna be at McMeaty's at 5 o'clock. So they get in the car and they drive back to McMeaty's. Well, on the way to McMeaty's, they pass by Bun's Market, and he's doing a signing or like a meeting kids thing. Like a person dressed up as Count Coco Fang is doing that outside of Bun's Market. So it happens that the lie that Dib made up is kind of true. And so I do think it's funny because when we meet Count Coco Fang, you know what he says? Blah. Like, he keeps saying blah. And is that like... I wonder where that comes from. Because there's the... I do not say the blah, blah, blah from Hotel Transylvania. So I wonder where that comes from.
I don't know.
Because they do it in this, too.
I don't know.
So I wonder if it's like a reference to like an actor that played Dracula that like did that or something.
I don't know.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But so Dib is trying to get the paranormal investigator to like go to McBeaty's and see the mole, and he's too focused on Count Coco Fang, so he starts like fighting Count Coco Fang, and it's so funny because it's like this like super actiony sequence where he like flips up his jacket and pulls a wooden stake out of his belt and stuff, and this guy is just like a slightly overweight man dressed up as Count Coco Fang just like runs off and escapes on the back of a garbage truck. But the paranormal investigator runs after him, and
Wait, not to interrupt.
yes,
Google says blah refers to the popular misconception that Count Dracula says blah blah blah, likely stemming from comedic impressions of Bela Lugosi's accent, particularly when he said blood.
okay, that makes sense. So anyway, while that's happening, Zim starts to molt, and it's so gross because it's like, at first, whenever it hits 5 o'clock, he's like, "Oh, I think I'm fine," because like his rash clears up and everything, and then it just like explodes outward. It's like green meat just like pushes out and like fills up. It's like body horror. It like fills up the whole store, and the people in MacMeaty's are distracted by the chase going on outside with Count Coco Fang, so they're all up against the windows, and it like pushes them into the windows, and the windows start to crack, and it like spills out of the top of the like chimney on the restaurant and stuff. It's really gross, but he like unmolts or whatever, and there's like green slime kind of on stuff, and it's kind of gross. But Count Coco Fang gets away, and Dib runs in, but it's too late. He missed it, and then the like squeaky voiced teenager is like, "You're fired," to Zim. And the paranormal investigator didn't see anything, and that's just how the episode ends. Is with basically with Zim getting fired.
Oh my goodness.
So do you want to talk about Invasion of the Idiot Dog Brain?
Oh my gosh. So this is one of my favorites just because it's based about Gur.
Which, not to interrupt what you're about to say, I do think it's funny though, because you can kind of tell who our favorite characters are, because you pick 2 episodes that have a lot of Gur in it, and I picked 2 episodes that have a lot of focus on like Dib, and then the second episode has Gaz in it too, and Gaz is probably my favorite character in the show, and Dib's close.
Aw, come on, you gotta love Gur.
I like Gur too, he's just not my favorite.
Poor Gur. So what is this one called?
Invasion of the Idiot Dog Brain.
Okay, so in this one, so Zim, when he comes to Earth, he builds this house, but it's just like a...
Yes. It's got a control brain, and then it folds out, and it's like... It's basically part of his spaceship that shot into the ground and turned into a full house, and it steals electricity from the neighbors, and there's a whole underground base beneath it.
Yeah. So there's something wrong with the brain of his house, so they go down there to fix it, and... something goes wrong and Gur ends up in the brain of the house.
So what happens is Zim asks Gur to watch the electricity and make sure it doesn't change color. And then I think it's a pig or something he has in his hands. He drops it below the electricity, so he leans down to get it, and it shocks his head and puts his brain in the house. So instead of putting the actual control brain that was supposed to be in there, it puts Gur's brain into the house.
So, and this is why I love Gur, because this episode was so funny. Because he just annoys the heck out of Zim. Like, Zim's like, "Okay, you have to take me up to the, like, storeroom or whatever, in the elevator or whatever," and Gur's like, "You didn't say please!" And just,
and then he makes them dance.
Yeah, and then he finally makes him dance, and then he takes him where he wants to go, but then...
No, he doesn't. Because he wants to go somewhere else, and he shoots him all the way up into the actual house part.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll just let you talk.
I'm not trying to take over your episode.
So then, I don't know, Zim promises him tacos.
Yeah.
If he'll behave.
He sees a commercial for taquitos.
Yeah.
Is what gets him going.
Yeah. And Zim promises him taco. Like, anytime Zim asks him anything, he's like, "Taco!"
Because what happens is Zim says, "I'll just wait you out." And then he can't wait Gur out.
So, Gur decides he's going to take the whole house to this taco place and get tacos. And he's just, like, destroying the city as he's walking through this house to get his tacos.
And the news reports it as, like, a mobile home on a rampage.
Yeah. And, so Zim finally, he's like, "We have to go back. People are going to figure out that we're not, that this isn't normal." And
And then
there's a guy with his brand new car, and he's on the phone, and he's telling somebody on the phone like how much he loves this car and how he's gonna drive it forever, and then the house steps on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. A house just stepped on my car." Like,
and he says it in the exact same like happy tone of voice, but
Yeah.
then as soon as he hangs up the phone, he starts crying. Or he calls the police or something and reports the house,
Yeah.
and then starts crying.
Yeah. So Zim figures out that he can lure Gur back home by keeping the tacos away from him.
Yes. Well, Gur can't eat tacos because he has no mouth when he's the house.
Right.
So Zim says, if you come home, I'll put you back in your body and you can eat the tacos.
Yeah.
But I do think it's funny because when they go through the drive-thru, the people in the drive-thru act like nothing's wrong.
Yeah,
like nothing's out of the
Howard is in
ordinary.
drive-thru.
I mean, to be honest, though, I would probably do the same thing. I'm not paid enough to care.
I might be a little bit shocked. But yeah, it's just, that one's just a fun episode. It's not really horror because it's more fun, but it's just...
I mean, it has horror elements.
Yeah, but it's just, Gur's just my favorite. He's just cute.
I don't really necessarily know if any episode of the show itself, maybe Dark Harvest and Gur Goes Crazy and stuff might be considered like actual horror, but most of the episodes have horror elements but aren't like actually horror because it's made for kids. I mean, it was intended for like a tween audience. It was the goal.
This guy needs help. She might need to check on him.
Jonan Vasquez.
Especially when we get to the next episode.
Mysterious Mysteries?
No, our next episode.
Oh, yeah. So is that all you had to say about that episode?
I just love it. It's funny and it's, I mean, really that the scary house could be scary, but I don't know. There's just something about Gur that just, because he's innocent, like and he's funny because he's got these bright green eyes and he's just so cute. And then when Zim's like, you have to be serious, he'll turn into like this angry robot with a bright red eye, and I don't know. I don't know. He's cute.
Do you say blue eyes?
I thought they were green.
No, they're blue.
Okay, blue eyes.
But I do think it's funny because like I said, it's stealing electricity, and at the end of this episode, we see that whenever it reattaches itself to the walls and stuff, it attached to a guy's brain that's watching TV in the building next to them. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to talk about Mysterious Mysteries now? So, this episode is Mysterious Mysteries, and we've gotten some snippets from Mysterious Mysteries before, I'm pretty sure, in previous episodes. I don't remember which, episode in the series this is, but basically, it's a parody of, Unsolved Mysteries, or, is it Hunting Bigfoot, Finding Bigfoot, that one? Shows like that, where it's, investigating the paranormal. But you know what I'm talking about. And I also do think it's funny because, the Scooby Apocalypse comic books, also, there's a show in that called Mysterious Mysteries. That Fred's the cameraman for, and Daphne's the, reporter for it. But, so in this episode, it starts off, and we see part of an episode where they're interviewing people that worship the Blotch, which is, this big fat guy who just, screams sometimes. And the girl that's talking about it is like, the Blotch knows. It came to me a dream, and they said, the Blotch knows. And the Blotch does know. And, and then they're like, what does the Blotch know? And she's like, he knows. But, anyway, it's then revealed that what we're watching is not actually part of an episode. We're watching, or it might be, but what we're watching is the host is looking at footage they had. And is like, I'm gonna get fired. We cannot air this. So, the host also has a scar on his face. And the, producer comes in and is like, you're fired. Ha ha ha, I'm just joking. But you are fired if this next episode doesn't get ratings. And so, he's like, I need to find something interesting. And he's going through, the mail, and one thing he got is something that Dib sent in. And he looks over, and there's a whole room labeled Dib that's just, full and full of all these records of stuff that Dib has sent in. And we see, flashes, and he's like, never again, and we see, the scar. And so it's implied the scar came from something that happened with Dib, but we don't know what it is. We don't actually, see that. But, so, he ends up inviting, he doesn't really invite them on the show. We see him walking down the streets of, Zim's town, and he's, doing, the narration of, it's a small town where people don't even have to lock their doors. And he pushes open and walks into the Membrane household, and Gaz is sitting on the couch, and Gaz is Dib's sister. And she's like, who are you? And throws, whatever she's eating at him. And so it's he didn't even ask, to come to their house or anything. He just showed up at their house recording. And so Dib runs out and he's like, oh man, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to be on Mysterious Mysteries forever. This is awesome and stuff. And so Dib ends up coming on the show, and so he tells his story, and they play the tape he sent in, and it's like Zim in a tree with Gur, or Gur's in the tree, Zim's down at the base of the tree, and Gur's like playing with this floating light, and that's like all it is. And it's Dib and Gaz are both there in the recording, and so he interviews Dib first and gets Dib's story. And Dib's story is like, oh, I saw this alien with this light and stuff, and he makes himself sound like so tough and stuff in it. And I don't remember exactly how. He says that Zim like shot him with a laser, which made him fall over at the end of the tape, because you see him falling over at the end of the tape. And then they're like, well, we called in someone else, and then Zim walks in, so they get Zim's side of the story, and like Zim's side of the story is completely different, and it's like Dib was bullying him, and it's like, give me your lunch money and stuff like that. And then him at the end with the camera, he puts the camera down and then kicks them over.
Aww.
And then he kicks the ladder down that Gur got up into the tree on. But then they bring in Gaz for her side of the story, and like she doesn't really want to be on the show, but she goes on there anyway. And her side of the story, the whole time they're not actually saying anything. Zim and Dib are both just going the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
So Gaz's side of the story reveals that him dropping the camera at the end was her kicking Dib in the shin, and that's why he dropped the camera. And then we get Stacy. She comes on, and it's just Gur, but they blurred out his face, but it's a really bad blur job, like where he moves his face too fast and it's over here, and then it moves over to his face. It's so funny. But Dib's like, can't you tell that's literally the robot from the video? And they're like, leave her alone, she's emotional, and stuff like that. And she tells her side of the Gur tells his side of the story, or Stacy tells her, however you want me to say it. But he's like, I was playing with the light in the tree, and that's when the giant squirrel showed up. And the host is like, don't you mean that's when Dib showed up? And he's like, no, the giant squirrel showed up first, then Dib showed up. And tells this whole elaborate story about how, like, the squirrel, like, returned to its home planet and had happy adventures for the rest of its life and stuff.
I love her.
And so the final consensus by the host, because he was trying to, like, figure out whether or not this tape was real, his final consensus is that they're all just insane. And Zim's like, so I'm not an alien. And he's like, no, just insane. And he's like, okay, good, and walks off and stuff. And then the host basically goes insane and is like, ooh, to the camera and stuff. And then the lady that came in at the beginning that was like, if your next episode doesn't do well, we're firing you. She comes in and she's like, this is the best ratings we ever had. They love Crazy. And then that's how the episode ends.
Oh my.
So those are the episodes we watched specifically for this. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, so I think in one of the episodes I watched, or maybe it was because I was kind of skimming some other episodes, but so Zim thinks that the tallest care what he's doing on Earth, and so there's, I want to say it's where where Zim or Gur becomes the house. He's actually having a meeting with the tallest, and Gur does something, and Gur's always like ruining everything for him. But the tallest just don't care. But Zim thinks he's like really part of this big grand plan to overthrow the world and
Operation Impending Doom 2.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk. I want to talk about Food Cordia at some point. So I do think it's funny because, like I said, in the Career Day episode, Zim gets put as being a fast food worker, which, you know, haha, funny because he sees everyone as human slaves. But in a later episode, I think it's a later episode, we actually learn that Zim ruined Operation Impending Doom 1 because he didn't leave the home planet and started attacking and destroying stuff. And so that's why Operation Impending Doom 1 was destroyed. So after that happened, he was banished to Food Cordia, and was his pack, which is the thing on his back that's like his consciousness, like it keeps his brain and everything in it. Which, fun fact, I don't know if you learned this in the show, but it is like a thing from the comics at least. If they have their packs off for more than 10 minutes, they die. Like it has like their consciousness and everything in it. But basically his pack got rewired to where he is a food drone. A fast food drone to work at a food restaurant. Like a fast food restaurant. So it's funny that he got put as a fast food worker during Career Day. But There was another thing I wanted to talk about, and I forgot what it was. What did you talk about earlier? Maybe that'll jog. Yeah, I think it was something to do with the tallest. But the tallest are funny because they're like the leaders of this whole nation that send people out on these missions to conquer planets, but all they care about is snacks, and they want to get more snacks.
Yeah.
Um,
And they were kind of disappointed that Zim even made it to a planet. Like they thought.
yeah, they didn't think there was a planet there.
Nowhere.
Yeah. Because they hadn't heard from him in like 6 months or something, because that's how long it took him to get there. And he calls them all the time. But I do think it's cool because it's not just like Earth stories necessarily. Like, I don't remember what the episode's called. It's something to do with, I think it's Battle of the Planets might be what it's called. But like, there's an episode where it turns out that some of the other planets in our solar system are actually spaceships, and so Dib and Zim end up fighting using like spaceships that are entire planets.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
But there's also episodes like what is that one called? Planet Jackers, where there's these two aliens that put like a dome around the Earth and like are gonna take the Earth and throw it on their sun to fuel it. And so Dib and Zim have to team up to stop them from stealing the Earth.
So I want you to talk about Dark Harvest because I feel like that. I remember the episode. I remember that it was dark.
So Dark Harvest.
I feel like that's probably the most horror-ish episode.
Yes, it starts out and they're playing like kickball, and Zim gets hit in the stomach, and he's like, "Oh, my spleetily splooch," which is like his only organ. So Urkins only have one organ that does all their bodily functions, and it's in their midsection, and it's called their spleetily splooch. So whenever that happens,
serious talking about his spleetily splooch.
I know. But when that happens, Dib is like, "Oh man, I wish I had X-ray goggles so I could see like what's going on." And then someone's like, "Oh, package for Dib," and he had ordered from like a comic book or a magazine or something 3D like X-ray goggles to see through stuff. And so he sees through and sees like Zim's like organ, and it's like really weird. But then after that, they're in class, and a pigeon flies in through the window and lands on Zim's head, which apparently in this universe is a disease called head pigeons.
Okay.
And Dib is basically like, "Zim, if you go to the nurse with head pigeons," because Miss Bitters is like, "You have to go to the nurse, Zim," and gives him like a hall pass, which is like a collar around his neck that if he takes off or if he leaves the school grounds, it'll explode.
Jeez.
And which I think it's funny because there's actually, you know how Palisade made figures, like I have some of them. I actually have that, and I have the other hall pass, which is a radiator. But
I remember the radiator.
yeah, that's what Dib's hall pass is because he leaves after. So, which there's some other episodes we can talk about too that are kind of horror-esque because there's like the Halloween Spectacular of Doom. But anyway, back to this episode. Zim starts going around the school and stealing organs from different people and replacing them with random objects so that he'll have human organs when he goes to the nurse. And he doesn't just take what he needs, like he doesn't take one of each. He ends up with like, I don't know, like 3 kidneys and multiple small intestines and stuff. And I think one of the funniest times is whenever he takes something from Gaz, he replaces it with like her game slave, which is like her Game Boy basically. And she's just playing it like through her skin, like. But it is kind of a dark episode, and like I said, Dib has those goggles, so throughout the episode we see him like see Zim a few times with the goggles on, and he just has more and more organs inside of him. And it is kind of horrific to have that. And there's one scene where Dib goes into like a dark room because he's trying to protect someone, and he can hear Zim in the vents and stuff. And it is shot like a horror movie, or like shot, you know, quote unquote, because it's an animation, but it's shot like a horror movie. Which there's multiple episodes that have parts that are shot like horror movies.
I thought this was the one that had like a flash of Gur dying.
No.
Oh.
What you're thinking of is Bloody Gur, which was, from what, I don't remember if this part is an urban legend or not. I don't think it is, but supposedly it was supposed to appear in Gur Goes Crazy and stuff, was the Bloody Gur. But they told him no, so he hid Bloody Gurs in different episodes. So you can catch them in different episodes for like one frame, or like they're like in a reflection and very tiny at the bottom. Which there's also references to like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and there's a reference to Filler Bunny, which was just like a character he made up to fill empty space in his comics whenever he wrote like Squee and stuff and Johnny.
Which is actually our episode next week.
Yes. Which the filler bunny reference might have been at the beginning of Dark Harvest. Because a kickball comes through the window and breaks like the jar that the bunny's in.
Oh.
It's like a pink bunny with really big teeth. But yeah, that's pretty much Dark Harvest. And then at the end he steals one of Dib's organs and replaces it with like this thing you turn and it makes a cow mooing noise. So Dib gets like diagnosed as like a cow hybrid and is like splashed all over. And you know the Bat Baby?
Yeah.
They make like a parody of that cover, I'm pretty sure.
Gosh.
But anyway, there's the Halloween special, which is kind of creepy. Do you remember that one?
I probably will when you start talking about it.
So, Membrane invents a device that lets people see into other universes. And somehow it results in Dib having a portal inside of his head, basically. And so he keeps being transported back and forth from like his world to this other world, and you learn that the other world is actually like basically how he sees the world.
Huh.
And like everyone's monsters basically. And one of my favorite designs in it is Membrane's design because he wears that big white lab coat. It's a straitjacket in like the nightmare realm. And like Ms. Bitters is like Nightmare Bitters in this realm, and she's like a
That's so
like
creature.
a bug-like creature, yeah. And then there's actually a reference to Johnny, aka Nee, in this episode. One of the monsters is credited as like Nightmare Nee. Which another thing is Jonan Vasquez has like a character design for himself that he has little snippets that show him and stuff throughout Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and stuff. He shows up in the show more than once.
Huh,
like whenever Zim is going through disguises when he first gets on Earth, one of the disguises is like the design that Jonan draws of himself.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Another episode that has a lot, it's still funny, but has a lot of scenes that's shot like a horror movie is Game Slave 2, where there's this other kid named Iggy who gets the last Game Slave 2 while Gaz is waiting in line. And so she ends up like tormenting him until she gets the Game Slave 2 from him. And he is annoying. He reminds me of a person that I used to have to spend time around that I don't like.
What's the crap, I just thought of another episode.
Bestest Friend?
Is that the little boy that has a lisp and drives them crazy?
Keith,
yeah.
Yeah, that's Bestest Friend, yeah. Does he have a lisp? I don't remember him.
Maybe he doesn't have a lisp, but he has some kind of speech impediment, doesn't he?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought he did. Maybe it's just because his name's Keith and not Keith.
Yeah. But, yeah, Bestest Friend is another one that's kind of horror. Zim decides, because everyone's calling him a freak because he has no friends, and so he decides he needs to find a friend. So he ends up trying to become friends with this kid named Keith, but Keith is, like, insane and has, like, never really had friends before. And you know what he kind of reminds me of? And I don't think you'll necessarily will get this, but, like, some of our listeners might. He kind of reminds me of Butters from South Park, where he just, like, wants to be included.
I never watched South Park.
Didn't think so. Well, Butters in South Park
trying to kill him or to get rid of him.
He keeps trying to get rid of him. I wouldn't necessarily say kill, but at the end he does replace his eyes with like robotic eyes that make a squirrel look like Zim, so he chases after him.
Oh my. So we really enjoy this show. It's really stupid.
Yes.
Is
there more we want to talk about? Because we still got.
That's up to you.
Is there anything else you had to say?
Not really. I should have watched more episodes.
Well, then you can finish your outro.
I was just going to say it's a really fun show.
It is.
It's not...
It's hard to find merch for that isn't Gurr.
And it's not a serious... I mean, don't go into this expecting something serious or something that's going to scare your pants off.
And it doesn't... Just... Like I mentioned that like it has some continuity, like like things you can notice, like the fact that he became like a food drone and then he gets put as a fast food worker, but it resets after every episode.
Yeah.
Like it's not...
I mean, if you know the basis of the show, you've got...
Yeah.
I mean...
I mean, certain things continue throughout, but it's not like what is that called?
It's not like where you have to have seen the episodes in order to.
Yeah, sequential.
There you go.
But yeah, and like I said, I mentioned the comics a few times throughout this. There's actually also a comic series that started in 2018 and ran until like 2022 or 2023 or something like that. It ran a little bit after the Enter the Florpus movie came out, and then it kind of ended.
So talk about the movie.
I don't really like the movie. I've only seen it once.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it. I think I didn't watch it because you told me it wasn't good.
It's not necessarily that it's bad. It's just it adapted a lot of the comics, except it didn't do it as well. And I don't think, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think Jonan's heart was in it. Because if you saw interviews where he was talking about the movie and stuff, it sounded like he had already like kind of made his peace with them, like it was over, and he was kind of just like done. Which I mean is understandable.
Yeah.
Eventually, you want to move away from a project and not just be known for like that one thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know. He had the bad Jonan Vasquez. He had the bad art book, which was just like a bunch of art he did. He had Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and Squee and I Feel Sick, and then like the Invader ZIM show and the Invader ZIM comics. And I don't really know what else he's done, if anything.
I don't have any clue.
But anyway, yeah, if you want to check the show out, I will say this, and I'll probably mention this in our next episode too, but I want to bring this up here. If you are gonna like have your kids watch the show and stuff, do not let them read Johnny. Jonan didn't like that some of his kids, Fran from Zim, were going back and reading Johnny because Johnny was not written for kids, and he doesn't want kids to be exposed to like the violence and the gore and the language and stuff in it.
There is a lot of
Profanity.
Well, not even that. There's a lot of dark in Johnny.
Yeah, a lot of dark themes. Yeah, we're gonna have to put a lot of trigger warnings on that video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and
we will see you next week.
Yeah, and next week is Johnny, and we're gonna talk about both Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, and Squee, and we might mention parts of I Feel Sick, but I've only read that once, and I don't remember it very well, and you haven't read it, so anyway, that's all.